Hey, friends, welcome back to the CEO Teacher Podcast. Today, we're talking all about how teaching changed me. Now, I think today's show is for anyone, whether you are a current teacher, you used to be a teacher, whether you sell your lesson plans online or you're thinking about doing it, it really doesn't matter. I think we can all find some common ground here, but also, I think it's important to note that what happened to me while I was a classroom teacher, the 10 things that changed me that I'm going to share on today's show really changed me as a human being, not just as a teacher. And so I want to encourage you to get on social media and share a message with the world about how teaching changed you. Maybe you can tag me or put the hashtag the CEO teacher so that we can follow this, because the truth of the matter is that when you go into the doors of the classroom, you don't come out the same person that you were before. And what my students taught me and what life taught me while I was in the classroom for those 8 years have led me to the person that I have become today. So stick around. You don't want to miss it. All right, teachers, keep listening because you are already supporting students in the classroom. And now it's time that you take action on a larger scale. You're already doing 80% of the work. Let me help you do the other 20%. So go ahead, turn the volume up here if you need to. If you're a dreamer who has a multitude of talents, which I know you are as a teacher, you are a classroom teacher who is also a rockstar human with a passion for education, I want to introduce to you the teacher product design process. It's the only document you'll need to take your offers or your teaching resources from regular glue to glitter glue in the blink of an eye. I'll show you step by step some teacher tested strategies that will help you build design foundations that work so you can take whatever you're teaching in the classroom and sell it online. Teachers work hard, and I want you to get your hands on a simpler way to make more. You can grab the teacher product design process and all the details at caseymorris.com/design, because this is your moment, the moment that you stop making excuses and add action to the dreams that have been hiding in the depths of your heart. Again, it's caseymorris.com/design to grab the teacher product design process. That's KAYSEMORRIS.com/design. Teachers, I know that teaching has changed you. I understand firsthand the load that you are carrying. And on the days when you are at the highest peak of the mountain, teaching is literally the best job in the entire planet. There is nothing that compares to that feeling of, wow, I've made a huge difference in someone's life. And hopefully it's forever. I love stopping we have a Circle K in the middle of town in my little hometown. And there are about, I would say, like 5 employees that work there that are former students of mine. They're grown now, of course. And I can't go in there without being there for like 30 minutes. I have the most fun. First of all, they have babies too. And then sometimes they bring their babies to work, and I get so excited because they see me walk in and they're like, Miss Morris, here's the baby. And so I just walk around Circle K and grab my energy drink and babysit. It's amazing. It's such a beautiful feeling to feel like I'm still part of them. They are still part of me. We are still this really big family. That's the highest form of teaching, right? Is when it goes beyond the 4 walls of the classroom, when I get to hold their babies while they're working at Circle K and we get to talk about life. And it's funny because sometimes they're really stressed out. Maybe there's a lot of people in there at one time, and I still could have those conversations and joke with them. And we're going to talk about that's one big reason why teaching changed me. But that's the highest part of what we do. I know that there are days when you don't want to drag yourself out of bed. There were days when I was putting on my makeup, getting ready for school, and I was in tears going, how can I face another day? And so in today's show, I want to focus in though on the great parts of how teaching changed me, even when I was in those valleys, even when there were hard moments, the things that I learned from my students, but the things that life taught me the most. And with a few simple adjustments to your mindset and your everyday routines, I hope that you can step into this life of being called to be a teacher, whether that's in the classroom full time or leaving the classroom so that you can sell your teaching online. It really doesn't matter. I want you to feel like you're stepping into your calling in life in every way possible. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you are not sure you can do it, say yes. then learn how to do it later. I found that quote online and I thought, wow, that's really the epitome of being a teacher. They send you to school, they give you your education, and then they just kind of release you into the wild and hope for the best. And so it's really sink or swim. We really have to figure out what we're doing. And although we may have a mentor teacher, we are really out alone in that classroom with 25, 35 students on day one, trying to figure it all out. And here are the 10 things that I have learned the most. The first is that, and now these are all opinions, okay? So before I get started and you want to come at me on social media or send a message, if you disagree, that's fine. We can agree to disagree. I'm okay with that. So the first one is that your circumstances don't determine the life you'll create. I didn't believe that before I was a teacher. I thought that the way you were born was everything, and that was going to determine the life that you were going to create. Now, let me back up a second. I'm not saying that people don't have advantages in life. I am very, very aware of the privilege that I have, of the privilege that people with a silver spoon in their mouth have, of how money can affect lives. But what I know is that I have seen children that were not born with any privilege that have gone on to do the most amazing things. And I don't just mean as a grown up, I mean in that 24-hour period when I walk in the room. That is an amazing accomplishment. I think about one student in particular, and I won't say their names just to protect them, but she recently just graduated from college, actually last week. I taught her and her sister, and they have been through a lot, from being in foster care to parents being in prison. And she's the first person to ever graduate college in her family. Such a proud moment, right? And she's made it her mission to, she says, be somebody one day. And not saying that you have to go to college to be somebody, but how beautiful is it to know that your circumstances don't necessarily determine the life that you'll create? And seeing students like her and seeing students that have overcome so much to become what they were born to be has changed my outlook on life. And when I start thinking, man, I don't want to work as hard, or I don't want to do these things, I have to remind myself that I have been given a lot in life. And so it would be a disservice to the world if I decide, I'm just going to sit back and let life happen to me instead of being the reason life happens. I don't know if that makes sense. Life happening to, I don't know. Maybe that made sense. Okay, number two, this is my favorite one, is that good always wins over evil. Point blank, period. I'm so sorry. I'm preaching and like stamping my finger, but I am 37 years old, and I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have seen this to be true. And it may not be immediate. Actually, it's often not. But good always wins over evil. And when you think about children in the classroom and you think about how mean-spirited people can be, especially in middle school, right? Mean girls and things like that. And then you see the child that's struggling because these people are being mean to them. But if they keep being good, if they keep sharing good in the world, they overcome that. And that becomes a thing of the past. And as I'm 37 years old, I still see adults doing these exact same things. And all I have to remind myself every single day of my life is that good always wins over evil. And evil will win temporarily, but it will never win in the end. So think about that even as you're growing your business, because this world is a crazy place. Social media, things that people say to hurt you, to tear you down, it's okay. Let it all roll off your back and just keep fighting the good fight. Third, it kind of goes hand in hand with number two, is that speaking kindly of others and to others will build a happy life in every circumstance. When a teacher comes in your room and talks about how bad their day is, instead of saying, yes, mine is too, say, I'm sorry that happened to you. I hope that things get better. Let's talk about something good. And at first it's hard. It's not easy. People don't like that conversation at all. And then they get used to you being that person and they just don't fight it anymore. All right, quick recap. Your circumstances don't determine the life you'll create. Good always wins over evil. Speaking kindly of others and to others will build a happy life. Number 4, broken homes don't result in broken children. In the South, y'all, we live in the Bible Belt here, and people will pretend that divorce is the worst thing that could ever happen to a child. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've seen so many children blossom into beautiful souls who may have come from a broken home, but they weren't broken children. They didn't backslide. They became amazing humans in society. And so, what children need is a great support system. Some of them have just mothers, some of them have just fathers, some of them have both, some of them have stepmoms, stepdads. But broken homes don't result in broken children. And maybe you came from a broken home, and your way of thinking is that you haven't achieved everything you want in life because of the way that you were raised or the childhood trauma that you have. And I want to be the first person to tell you, in case nobody has it, that's not true. That's not true. And you can be anything you want to be. It's never too late. It's never too late to start today. The next is 1 year of good can change someone's life forever. I used to dislike extremely, I was going to say hate, when we would sit in professional development meetings and they would tell you that a bad teacher resulted in a child backsliding in their education up to 4 years. And so if you had a child who had a bad teacher, basically don't worry about them because they're not going to be okay for the next 4 years. No way. Absolutely not. I don't buy into that. I don't drink the Kool-Aid. No. Instead, I would convince myself that 1 year of good, 1 year of good influence, good teaching, good love, good life, good light can change someone's life forever. And that's not just the children that we teach. That's the children we interact with in our homes. That's the person that you pass by every single day on your way to work. 1 year can make a significant difference in the lives of people forever. So think about that every single day as you interact with your children, either in the classroom or at home or in life. And remember that 1 year of good can change someone's life forever. The next is that loving life radiates lifelong learning. My children outperformed the school on their end of the year test every year that I was a teacher. And that sounds absolutely conceited and full of myself to say. I mean, but it's, and I don't mean that in a way that brags on me, because I'm actually not a great teacher. I actually was not the best teacher in the school, not even close. Not even close. Amazing teachers at our school. But I didn't necessarily teach the standards every single day. Instead, I taught about loving life, and I talked about how we can be good people and incorporate that into life. And what happened is that I realized that it's not what you teach, but how you treat your students that makes the biggest difference. So I could teach less and my students could do more. And so that is something that you should take with you in every single avenue of life, is that you can not be the greatest mom. And I will be the one to tell you I struggle. Some days we're surviving, not thriving. A lot of days we're surviving, not thriving. But I have to remind myself that if I can show them a loving life, a loving heart, a loving home, then hopefully that'll radiate this desire to be a lifelong learner in everything that they want and achieve more than what it would if I was barking at them or making sure they did everything exactly as I wanted them to. Now, stay tuned because my kids aren't grown and I don't know if that works out. I'm hoping for the best though, fingers crossed. Next is that fear starts and stops young. We start feeling fear. I don't know how old we are. I would say like fifth grade. And so little things like going to tumbling class, and you weren't afraid to do a backflip before, but then your mind starts sinking in and you start going, I might break my neck. My oldest son, every single time he was young, he would go up fearless to go play baseball, hit the ball, no fears. He's really smart. And so sixth grade hits and he starts getting pitched to, gets hit the first pitch of his middle school year, and has had a mental block for the last 2-3 years. Fear got into his head. And so now he knows, and we talk about it. And he's like, I know, I was just scared of it, mama. And so we don't wait. My only question to him when he comes off that ball field is, did you have fun? I could care less if you won. I could care less if you missed the ball. Do not care. My only question to my kids when they finish playing the sport is, did you have fun? And were you not afraid? Because fear starts and stops young. And if you can have fun and forget fear that early in life, it'll pay off as you start to get older, because there are so many things that we are afraid of as adults, even if we don't want to admit them. But I want you to try to instill in your children that fear starts and stops young. So if it starts, how can we put the brakes on it so that it'll be gone when they get older in life? Next is something that's simple, and I know you already know this, is that beauty is not on the outside. Man, I believe all children are beautiful, but more and more, the older I get, I don't see beauty in a way that other people do. Like, I don't look at people and go, oh, they're so attractive. They're so beautiful. Men, women, there is no part of me that walks into a room and says, she's the prettiest girl here, or he's the best looking, or I should get nervous talking to so-and-so because they're so gorgeous. Because beauty is only on the inside in my eyes. And so I don't know if you're beautiful until I hear you speak. Sometimes I can feel it, but I don't know who you are until I get to know who you are. And so learning that every time you talk to a child, there is some beauty in them, even if they may have a cold heart or they may have childhood trauma. All that can be flipped around and can be worked on. And so, a tale as old as time, beauty is not on the outside. The next is that small minds develop mean spirited humans. And this is a little tough love. But if we're unable to grow and unable to think for ourselves and unable to begin to question simple things, like I remember that my teacher told me there was never a dumb question. And one day I asked a question and he said, Casey, I know I said there was never a dumb question, but that was stupid. And I remember being like, wow. And I was in 8th grade and I remember being like, okay. And I was quiet. Now, was it a stupid question? Probably. But I was trying to think outside the box. And so over time, I try to tell myself when children ask questions or adults ask questions that having an open mind, even if it's not one you want to answer, or even if it's silly, or even if it's off topic, that small minds develop mean spirited humans because you stop thinking and you just assume that everything is one way or the other. It's why people fight over the dumbest things in life. People get mad about a Facebook post. People get mad about what somebody said, third person down the line. And that's because we haven't allowed ourselves to grow and have an open mind about a beautiful life. Okay, I think I've got some extras in here, 2 more. Society has made us against each other. And if you can break that mold in the classroom, it is the most beautiful and liberating feeling in the world. It's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. But if you can allow the children to forget what society wants us to know, even if it's just for an hour, 5 days a week, it's this little place of peace where there are no judgments, there are no standards of living. It's just everyone coexisting together. And I try to do that in my home with my kids, and it doesn't always work, but society has made us against each other. And how can we get back to focusing in on the fact that we are all humans and we all can live this life together? And then finally, and probably one that you already know too, but I think is important to note on how teaching changed me, is that happiness is an inside job. You are not a victim of your circumstance. You really need to start working on creating your own happiness, because if you can do that, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. If you know that no matter what, at the end of the day, I'm happy with me, I'm happy with who I am, I'm happy with the person I am, then nothing can shake you. And that, my friends, is a feel-good feeling. I want you to know that you can design the life you want as a teacher. It can look anything like you like. And although I shared the ways that teaching changed me, I'd love to hear about how teaching changed you. And you can design the life you want. I know I gave you the link at the beginning of the show, but we have a new teacher design process template ready for you that shows you how to take whatever you're teaching in the classroom and turn it in a way to make money online. This is not a gimmick. This has happened to thousands of teachers, but I want you to also make what you are worth, because you do so much for not only your students, but for the world. And if you go to caseymorris.com/design, you can go ahead and download that now. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you right back here every Wednesday. We are doing a new time for Teacher TV. It'll be tonight, Wednesday, May the 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Casey Morris business page. I hope you'll join me so we can continue this conversation. And as always, remember, your best is yet to come. I'll see you soon. Bye.